and welcome to the podcast So Casted. I am your host, Tara Lockett. Today we're going to talk about a topic called ethics, the journey of a single step. Ethics, the journey of a single step. That is a mouthful, but it is worth stopping and listening and watching to see what I have to say. But before we get into that topic, I want to remind you that the website is up. You can go to www.socasted.com. On that website, you'll be able to access the podcast first season, which is audio only, and then the second season up to date with the episodes. So please check that out. You could also catch the blog that I post on each week. Go in and check that out. Tell me what you think. The booking part has not been built yet, and that is simply because everything that I'm sharing with you, I'm putting to practice in my own life. And so I've been through a healing process, and it wouldn't make sense to put booking up if I can't be accessible to you. So right now I am practicing what I'm preaching, and I'm putting the things and the topics that I'm sharing with you into practice into my own life. And the reason why we do that, our mission is to free minds, heal minds, free our hearts, and activate change. And of course, we know what activation means is simply flipping a switch. And in this case, it's ethics, the journey of a single step. So it's actually activation is just simply taking that step. And sometimes that first step can be a very difficult step to take. Now let's get into the wisdom dot, as I like to call them, but they're also known as quotes. There is someone who lived here on our earth way before us, but before he left us some wisdom that I like to call wisdom dots. And so I want to share this wisdom dot with you by the great late Lao Tzu. He is the 5th century ancient BC Chinese philosopher, and he states this. He leaves us with these words: a journey of 1,000 miles must begin with a single step. Now, the journey of 1,000 miles must begin with one single step. And that's what we're going to get into today. I'm going to share 8 ethics that has helped me take the journey of a single step, which is the topic that we're talking about today. Ethics, the journey of a single step. I am going to share 8 things with you that can help you, direct you in those steps that's needed for us to conquer the ability to heal our minds, to free our hearts, and to activate change. And to do that, we must confront with wisdom, and then we must challenge ourselves to be better humans. And then in that challenge and that acceptance, we evolve into breaking the invisible chains that pretty much hold us back as a family of human beings. And so we're going to get into the topic, ethics, the journey of a single step. Now, I'm going to give you 8 of my top ethics that I had to explore and see what qualified me as my ethics, but there are way more that I have attached to my life and my journey and those steps, those 1,000 steps to get through everything that I've gone through in my life. But here's what I want to do, though, because I was going to get the ethic, I was going to get the definition of an ethic and then read that definition. But instead of doing that, what I'd like to do is mention them to you. Now, here's where I need you to come in. I need you to leave a comment below on the definition of the ethics that apply to you, or on the definition of the ethics that you want to work on. Because, again, remember, it's a single step. And so with these ethics, there's 8 of them that I want to talk to you about, and we're going to get into it. So the ethics, the journey of a single step. The first one that I want to talk about is commitment. The second one is dedication. And then there's respect. Now, I'm going to stop at that third one simply because I feel, now this is me, I feel that every human being on earth should have their ethics starting off with respect. Respect of self. And then when you respect yourself, then you have that ability to respect other people around you. Now, here's what I've learned about the word respect. I've learned that we as a human being have the right to disdain the senses. It's called disdaining the senses. In other words, we have our senses, and if we give respect, but then respect is not reciprocated, then guess what? As a human right, I have the right to take my respect back and love you unconditionally. And so respect should be universal for all humans. And then there's loyalty. There's honesty, there's empathy, and the reason why I gave this love bug ethics to Coach Kenneth Easter, that's my high school basketball coach. The reason why I gave him this love bug ethics is, because he cared. He showed the ability to care. That's a great ethic to carry. Although sometimes caring may be, taken as an easy target for some. It could be qualified as being weak. It could be, a lot of things. But had it not been for this young man caring for me in the timing, in the moment that I really needed that care, I cannot tell you today where my life would be. But I know that on that 1,000-mile journey, I know the steps that I made with these words of commitment and dedication and respect and loyalty and honesty and empathy and then caring would not be in my vocabulary, nor will I be sitting here talking to you. And so sharing these ethics with you, that's up to 7. Now I'm going to pause on this one because this is an interesting ethic that I didn't realize was interesting, because I would take it as if it was an offense to others. But this particular ethic, which is my 8th ethic, and it's my top 8 ethics, simply because the things that took place in my life that I'm healing from is that 8-year-old girl. And so when that 8-year-old girl was robbed of all the qualifications that we as humans have, then I'm honored to share these 8 ethics. Now, before I tell you what this 8th ethic is, I'm going to tell you this, and I think a lot of people will relate. Have you ever had someone say, "Oh, she's doing too much. Oh, they doing too much. Oh, he's doing too much. Oh my God." I've even seen in a chat, "Oh, she just doing way too much." And it hurt my feelings. And so we're in the business of healing minds, freeing our hearts, and activating change. Although it hurt my feelings in that moment, I've learned since that the ethic of going the extra mile is worth having in your ethic books. It's worth, practicing in your character of a human being. Because the truth is, when we go that extra mile, we prove not only to ourselves that we can, but we also encourage others that they can too. And so those are the top 8. Remember to define those, because I was going to read that definition of those ethics off. Remember, commitment, dedication, respect, loyalty, honesty, and then there's empathy, caring, and then there's going the extra miles. Now, mind you, when my coach came in and taught me these kind of ethics, I was already disciplined with, common respect. I was already disciplined with, great ethics on that aspect of doing what I'm supposed to do. But these are different type of ethics, because these kind of ethics are ethics that we must apply to the things that we want to make better in our lives. For instance, our job is to heal our minds. Our job is to free our hearts. What are we healing our minds from? We're healing our minds from all of the traumas and the negatives that took place in our life. And then we're freeing our hearts. What are we freeing our hearts for? We're freeing our hearts from all the pain that sat in there, and we didn't have direction in what to do and what to go. Well, now you have 8 ethics to apply to your life and activate that change. Remember, we're confronting, we're challenging, and we're challenging ourselves to make the difference. We're taking full self-responsibility in making sure that we heal our minds, free our hearts, and activate change, because we can unify better on those levels. I want to thank you so much for listening to the podcast So Casted. I am your host, Tara Lockett. And remember, the reason why we must apply ethics and make a journey of a single step is because the single steps that we make are difficult steps, but every day we get the opportunity to take those steps. Now, please be sure to leave a comment, and remember, leave a comment about what ethic applies to you and give a definition of it. So let's all get involved in that. And then after leaving a comment, make sure you subscribe. And most importantly, above everything else, please share these episodes, because together we can heal our minds, and together we can free our hearts, and together we can help motivate one another to activate change that's so needed in our lives. And why do we need to do that? Because our mind matters and is the vision of the future.